it's the fashion visual representation of like hip hop sampling gone wrong. It's like, listen, if you have a piece of something good, all you got to do is add it to another piece of something good, and there you go. And like,
not everything is chocolate and peanut butter. Lisa, are you good on coffee? Should we? How you feeling?
I'm great.
Oh, hey, yeah, Melrose Maniacs.
What's up?
We are glad you are here and listening. Welcome back to Melrose Madness, where it is I, Wayne, and the wonderful Lisa.
Oh my guys, we are in the 5th episode of this.
We're in the 5th episode of a long and wondrous journey ahead. A deep dive into Melrose Place.
Ooh,
this is the 90s.
A deep dive?
Yeah, I feel like
you did that. You did that.
This. It's all percolating, Lisa. Trust me. But yeah, we just get into it. It was a phenomenon of the '90s on Fox TV, I believe, and a young adult soap involving mostly singles living in a little apartment complex together, and the shenanigans they get up to. And so, as we get into season 1, episode 5 of Melrose Place, Lisa, it's talking about the leap of faith. Any overall impressions that you had from this episode? Something we should really get to right up front.
Oh, I feel like people forcing people into bodies of water is just like thematically very, very strong throughout this episode.
They say that when a character is in water, it's like a baptism.
Oh yes, they're being reborn. And then thrown a towel.
And I feel like there might be some resonance to this, but what we have here is the first issues episode of Melrose Place.
Oh gosh, yes.
There will be issue, and this is a spoiler-free show, but it's not much of a spoiler to say there will be more issues episodes.
Oh yes, because it is the 90s after all.
Yeah, and yeah, the issue is abortion, and handled strangely well in ways.
I was so shocked. Like, they actually did a pretty decent job of handling it. I thought, because I mean, listen, I can't speak to what the reality was of abortion clinics at that time, but I think they, Sandy was great. I thought Sandy was a really good friend and very comforting, and I thought that the ladies all supported each other. I don't want to throw any spoilers out there, but they handle other topics so poorly. I was really surprised.
We should watch and keep an eye on whether this is the best of the issues episode. But yes,
that's a great point.
Until Rhonda fucks it all up.
Oh yeah,
they were.
Yeah, the Rhonda thing is just weird because, you know, I don't know about you, I've never forcefully like brought anyone pasta in that way.
I check first.
I check first, like, maybe this person's not having carbs this day. You don't know that their life. But yeah, I think that, I have to say, I thought it was handled kind of, it was really, of course, like the outcome of Jane, deciding not to is, whatever. But the thing I thought was really funny was that, like, I actually totally forgot about that part because it sort of went so, there wasn't that much conflict to it. But the night diving with the, you know,
Billy's
hey,
nightmare.
you know, spoiler alert for this rest of this episode, but like, yeah, the whole reason the episode's named The Leap of Faith is the diving imagery, and I guess like Jane and Michael leaping into potential parenthood, because it continues a couple episodes. Because we leave the episode with Jane 6 weeks pregnant.
Happily 6 weeks pregnant.
So our first Melrose pregnancy.
Take note.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Shoot a shot of something.
No. Well, you've gotten to maybe like the problem with this episode, so to speak, is that there's not much to it. It's to me, it was not very plotty.
Oh yeah.
Our producer Ilana and I think of this episode as just like some Jane and Billy bullshit. Or some Jane bullshit and some Billy bullshit, and that gets you right through.
That is a great point, because one thing that I think Ilana pointed out earlier was, we were talking about how one thing they did well was, I feel like you saw all the storylines like actually intertwining. Mm-hmm. Granted,
yes,
you pick the two least dynamic characters for your A and B storylines.
And they can just others can rally around them.
Yeah, just kind of rally around them. But like, but they did actually have like Sandy's involvement made way more sense to me. I mean, listen, they keep crowbarring poor Rhonda into situation. Like,
Yeah,
I don't believe that. Anyone would just show up with this weird the fat-free fettuccine?
low-fat fettuccine
Oh.
and some business. Food's always on the agenda for this show because
She should have just brought some
for our
coffee.
show, because this show we are watching and love so much, Melrose Place, has a very weird relationship with food. And in this episode, it is in the person of some suspicious fish and a low-fat fettuccine that blows it all.
Fettuccine is nuts.
If there was a capsule for this episode, ours would be Billy has a newspaper column and doesn't know what to do with it, and Jane has a pregnancy and she doesn't know what to do with it.
And they're both so boring.
Yeah, yep.
It's crazy.
Yes.
They're both so boring, and I think also too proving that they really don't know what they really have. Everything resolves for them. Billy doesn't jump, and then it's still somehow fine.
He's inspired because now the column is the column is about how he didn't jump, how he came to some sort of realization. Like, he's portraying himself as having learned something along the way. I don't think so.
Same with Jane. Jane goes, I went there to make a decision, and then I didn't. And then Michael was mad, and then he wasn't. And then they ate their fettuccine, I assume.
I think there was some on-camera fettuccine eating. And
I love when we get Ilana giggling from behind the camera phone.
You're onto something. That's when you know you're into the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Warmer, hot.
A lot of locations in this episode.
We went on a field trip to Bungeeeee cord.
Bungeeeeee Adventures.
This can be summed up by saying that they went on a trip so that Billy could not bungee jump. They literally went somewhere for him to not do something.
Statements of fact, yes.
And so, just in my little producer head, I'm like, did it need to be bungee jumping? We could have suggested literally anything, and we wouldn't have had to drive out to some place that had specifically a bridge. I feel like he should have just said shot out of a cannon, because you already know he's not going to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if we're going to do this, let's be weird, because
get weird with it.
Because already I'm in the writer's room and I'm going, hey, we know Billy's not going to do this. Let's go hard, because we can just hint at like the craziest thing. By the way, we shoot it where the scene starts with Matt going, wow, that was exhilarating. I just did that. See that? I just did it. And it's
you
some
nailed
evil
it.
Knievel.
It's like you just it's like you just bungee jumped. You came back. You got that energy. I love it.
Because you know what? The thing is, earlier when we were talking off camera, I said to Wayne, I don't know if you know this about me, but I really love drama. And so every time I watch Melrose Place, listen, the later seasons got me to such a state where the drama I craved was like, here, I'm like, hey, we're
Yeah.
because that's kind of where the show takes you guys. Spoiler alert. But
and then
yeah, so
we'll
what
look
happens?
this out later. Is the thing is we can talk about them getting on.
It's
on
gonna be so
rockets.
good. But if you're a new Melrose viewer, you may not come in with the energy I'm coming in with.
Well, no, I think to your point, and by the way, we do spoilers episodes sort of as a bonus, so we'll talk about stuff in a broader view, but that is the thing, is the broader view is, this is going to be a satisfying experience.
Yes.
Because we've done the watch through, and it was in my head, I'm analogizing this to like a relationship. And we've talked about our respective relationship with Melrose Place, but it's like we're in the awkward stage right now. We're in the getting to know you stage.
Yes, very much.
There's certain things about the person that seem to be part of them now that won't, and
the vestigial tail that will fall off.
And there's a potential, and for explosive things now in Melrose Place. So, if you are with us on this journey and you begin to falter, I urge you in those moments, just come with us. It'll get somewhere, and I think watching the whole thing, not to advocate for our own like little mission here,
but seriously, you're absolutely right, because I am now coming into, I mean, I don't even know what number viewing this is of this episode for me, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
I saw it when it first aired, and then rewatching. There are things I'm seeing where
new things.
The universe of Melrose Place is such that I am now finding that I am ascribing meaning from things that happen far down the line to behaviors and moments.
Yes.
I'm trying to catch these moments where, you know, certain characters have these origin stories, and you can say to yourself, well, was the seed planted at this time?
This is a really nice teaser for the spoilers episode, because we're going to go all in on that point.
Yeah, no
for
point
sure.
is there,
I mean,
guys.
No quarter will be asked nor given in the conversations about that.
But you're so right. Like, you can see how the characters are sort of becoming who they're trying out different characteristics of stuff. Sandy's being very helpful. You know, you've got Rhonda. They're still trying to make Rhonda like a bulldozer a little bit, and it's kind of not working. It's very confusing. But
I think that you've said to me more than once, and I agree, that they kind of just didn't know what to do with a black character, a black woman on the show, and she's got the wildest casting about, and wild is like a relative term. It's not, but I think the cluster of characteristics they're building up for Rhonda don't make a person in the way that everyone else on the show is a person, even though it's not. Like we connect with these people, and I think we connect with the characters for a lot of the other ones, and with Rhonda we connect to Vanessa Williams and what she's doing, because she's game.
Yes.
But this is what they've given her to do, to be like a bumbling snoop.
Yeah, they haven't really. You can tell that she's sort of an afterthought, but the thing. Oh wait, what am I talking about? I will say, okay, I have to take that back. She does get to do some goofy shit.
Yeah.
Because like the fish, that was so entertaining. I could not. First of all, I don't know who pitched two giant, like, are those branzinos? I don't know what those are. Those are the kind of fish where I feel like you have to decide in the morning, I'm going to have this fish for dinner. Yeah. I need to, like, plan my day accordingly, because this is a lot. She was flapping the fish around.
Producer Chris did not like the looks of it.
No, it was really scary to me.
It was a suspiciously textured fish.
Suspiciously textured fish. I am so sorry.
This is where we came to.
But yes, no, the thing is, she's kind of a wild card. They're trying out different things with her, which, you know, I'm not super opposed to, but just like nothing seemed to stick. But like, she's a little Lucille Ball to me in all the episodes, because Rhonda's adventures are always kind of the goofiest.
Let us hang a lantern. I think that is a wonderful insight. And I think that we're going to watch that bear out, that it's like Rhonda's antics. In the future, we will be discussing antics and shenanigans around Rhonda.
Yes, because even when she's one of the first people I think we see peering out of blinds. Because she's like starting the creeper tradition.
The original blind speculum.
The little blind lady. And so so I think that, I mean, at most she's a little, like, cartoonish, and I think that's why I like her.
Yeah, no, it is just like, she's a little like me.
You know, I also really love her clothes.
Oh, she is flawless every time, even pulling off things that shouldn't work.
Oh my god, so much better dressed than Jane. Go
on. Why don't we dive in to Jane's bullshit? Because that gives us the issue of do I have consent to dive in?
You have complete consent to start talking about her sister-wife clothing line. Yeah. Those dresses were crazy.
Okay, let's get into it. I mean, we've talked enough of it, but you probably get it. She's pregnant. She keeps it from Michael. Blah blah blah. In between, we now have seen this aspiring fashion designer's idea of funky evening wear.
I love that we got to hear that, because, again, I've watched this multiple times. Yeah. So there are things that are hitting me for the first time upon this viewing, and If you had asked me to tell you what term would you use to describe Jane Mancini's design consistently throughout her design career, funky evening wear isn't exactly what would come to mind for me. I've only ever seen Alison's wedding dress.
That was...
Which gives away nothing, by the way, because you don't know what happens.
Well, maybe that's another thing to get into in the spoilers. I don't know. Like, we could just.
We'll put we'll hang a hat on the fashions, Jane's fashions, because we're seeing the origin story of Jane actually starting to, put some of her horrifying creations on people.
No, this will be we for those of you who are along for the ride, episode by episode, and don't want to talk about the arc. We can just tell you it's going to get fun, and that we will be tracking this on this stream as we go through. We're going to be talking about that fashion that Jane Mancini produces. Well, in the contrast to the it's matronly. Like, what the hell? What happens in the episode is that Jane has just finished 3 dresses. I don't know why she decided that was the right number. And immediately runs upstairs.
By the way that you gently segued into this discussion of Jane's dresses was incredibly more respectful than the way that she aggressively... I was thinking, how does fashion both be aggressive and matronly at the same time?
She did
Jane Mancini figured it out.
Call it a Mancini original.
Literally, she does the same thing that Rhonda did. She barged in, physically started putting dresses on these women. She started, here, put this on. Rhonda's was crazy. She had it didn't even look finished.
It was 2 dresses, neither of them finished, I think.
She didn't, wait a minute, so wait. I'm wondering now, does Jane just steal people's clothes and Frankenstein them together?
Is that the basic?
This evening wear just got funky.
Okay, so new theory. Jane works at this boutique on Melrose. Let's just say some stuff disappears from the inventory and ends up as raw material for the original Mancini originals. I think there might be something to this, and I bet that every single thing she cut up was way better than what she did with it. I'm so sorry. Is that what you were drinking?
It's like when somebody...
For those who are listening on viewing, I nearly killed Lisa just now. I apologize.
It is the it's the fashion visual representation of hip-hop sampling gone wrong. It's like, listen, if you have a piece of something good, all you gotta do is add it to another piece of something good, and there you go. And
not everything is chocolate and peanut butter.
No, and by the way, these women, I cannot stress how thin the 2 women are. There's 2 bolts of fabric. And by the way,
hanging off their frames.
Also, no shade whatsoever to these dresses until I hear that the category was funky evening wear. And I'm like, if you go to a drag ball and they tell you funky evening wear and some maniac starts duck walking down the runway in a barn dress, you're going to get kicked in the face. And you should, because that's bonkers.
I love that that's your metric.
That is completely...
That's a very specific metric.
I also don't trust a woman who takes her hair from here, pushes it forward, and she's like, we are now all agreed to lay flat.
It reminds one of Emo Phillips, but he's doing a bit, or is at least an interesting person underneath it. Emo Phillips was a comedian of the era who had the bulliest bowl cut. It was disheveled at times. Am I wrong?
I think you're right.
Listen, okay. I don't. Again, as I've said this, now I don't want to come for the bullhead community, because you know what? Everybody gets their life how they want to get it, and I had that. The thing is, I had that haircut. I didn't consent to that for a very long time, and it was done to me. So
Lisa, has a bowl cut affected your life?
You know what we did? We just accidentally walked into one of my triggers, and I had to acknowledge my trauma.
Do you want to process your trauma, or do you want us to just kind of okay, let's leave that where it is?
My mother will watch this, so let's just keep going.
All right.
Just kidding, she won't. If I tell her it's about her, she might. No, but that
Yeah.
So Jane's designs.
Yeah, it's something else, and I guess you're really good about this, and I'm going to do it for a moment, projecting myself into what goes into the decision behind the scenes. That's what Mancini originals are going to look like, even like in plot, in world, botched dresses.
Oh.
She realizes they're horrible. Ron and Sandy try to not be honest fully to preserve her feelings.
I just realized something. Sorry.
No, I want your realization because more interesting than anything I could come up with after that.
Well, you led me down this path where I hadn't even thought about, okay, so you brought up the point of they're trying different things with different characters. So I'm kind of wondering, is this a choice? Are they saying to us, is Jane possibly a terrible designer and doesn't know it? Like, I'm wondering if they're introducing the possibility that, like, listen, Michael's a doctor. Jane's very pretty. We have yet to see Jane do anything. They haven't yet told us that Jane is this amazing designer. So I'm even wondering if they're like, hey, we want to see Jane's entire evolution from starting designer. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's okay. Just plug it in. Wait, are we low on battery on the DJI? No.
You know, it's a good time for a commercial break anyways, guys. Stick with us.
An air of intrigue, a hint of romance, a soupçon of danger. Mantleberry wine tickles the tongue and seduces the senses. A distinctive experience from the famed mantles of Melrose to your table. The bottle's finished, darling. Shall we have some more Mantleberry wine? Why, yes indeed. When the night is at its finest, there can be only one. Mantleberry wine.
We're back from commercials.
Everything's great.
We're back from commercials, and we were taking a deep dive into the original Mancini originals. Did we do it, Lisa, or did you have anything else?
I think I left it.
There's a lot to say.
I feel like I left it all out on the table.
Okay, guys. So the Mancini originals also weirdly aren't. I guess that's what they are plot because that's what gets her up to letting Sandy and Rhonda know that she is pregnant.
Oh yeah.
It gets her there. How we got to that is we see her with a pregnancy test and it's bad news. Later on, we find out she's 6 weeks in. Is this baby from the chili fuck possibly?
The chili con carnal knowledge.
It works for me.
Thank you. You know what? I'm so sorry. I hate to go backwards, but there was something that you guys pointed out that to me it was like Mantleberry status was circling back quickly to Jane's designs.
No.
The mannequins, the faces on these things were insanity. Made no sense because at this time there were plenty of headless mannequins. I think we were all pretty accustomed to just
we weren't like that's creepy.
No. And the one was like a weird, like, cute, it looked like a cubist, like a Pablo Picasso face, a shield.
It reminded me of the Guy Fawkes mask.
Yes.
That you see.
An effigy will be burned later.
Yeah, no, it was frightening. I wish I had the time code on hand to point folks directly to it, but
it's all good.
It's weird how these odd things are hung on plot moments. Like that was Jane telling Alison about the pregnancy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Feelings, right?
Well, I wonder if thematically the art department was like, all of these creepy, ominous faces will be in the background haunting.
Yeah, just a sense of foreboding amidst all of the sunny California stuff. So she feels the need to hide this pregnancy from Michael.
Yes.
And it occurs to us that just yet another. If you're in world, not coming in from the outside.
No.
Something is very wrong with this marriage because we've already seen this string of Jane bullshit that got us to here that it's a more serious issue, capital I.
Yes.
But But then meanwhile, we got Michael talking about how the hole in the donut. His analogy for marriage is that it is fundamentally an empty thing, and he just has to figure out whether he's going to live with it or he's got to do something about it. Is that how you read it, or what do you want to talk about that?
I believe that this is a couple that works very hard to invent problems.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand why you would hide that from your husband.
No.
Not one bit. Listen, I'm not saying that is something that would, I can completely imagine a scenario in which a woman, is feeling that, she doesn't want to be pregnant by her husband. Maybe, it's a violent situation, but this is not that. Like, this is just, he is not even close to the form he, achieves of an...
Guy, that's another great time to remind folks there's a spoiler episode.
You know what spoiler
episode? Do I do too
episode?
much of that, Producer Chris? Okay. Cool.
I feel like they may have had plenty of time to like get on board with what happens to Michael Mancini over the years. But also, I think that this is just proof that their relationship is so boring. Because they really never ever do anything. Yeah, I mean, you could, yes.
Even part of how they got there is Jane's approach to starting to try to share the news with Michael at the Mexican restaurant was fundamentally as someone who struggles with how passive aggressive he is, fundamentally passive aggressive, terribly passive aggressive. That she starts floating it of like, well, what if how does that play out? How does the good version of that play out, I wonder? How exactly did she ask it? Did she say something? It was a hypothetical, wasn't it? It was a hypothetical about what sort of, I don't remember the line, but it was along the lines of what if we start thinking about having a kid? And that's what bothers me. Yeah, because it felt like that was something you should have maybe asked him a while ago. Because that's crazy. These guys are not ever, they barely talk to each other. Lest we forget, when Michael came home from work after a long shift, all he wanted to do was pull out a thick book from his bookshelf and curl up with it, and Jane was like, I made you a sexy dinner. Like, I don't even know when he would have got her pregnant, because well, the chili fuck. She's like basically also like Lucille Ball, except instead of trying to perform, she's trying to get Michael to have sex with her. That's her big dream. It's my big number. She's being foiled in a shading. And the one time they do, she gets pregnant. She's like, oh, Jesus. They got carried away is the explanation in World. They got carried away. But I just feel like they really, they just have nothing going on. They don't ever want to hang out. They never want to be with each other. That's what gives us an issues episode that doesn't feel like it has any weight to it. It was boys versus girls this episode. Boys versus girls. That was so nice. But like you wouldn't think that would turn out well, but it does because everyone's so nice to each other, which maybe is a problem. Maybe no one has a scheme involved with this. It's just people not knowing how to do life and handling it poorly. You know what? Here's what I think. I'm now realizing there was a pregnancy, guys, spoiler alert, there was a pregnancy, someone had knowledge that someone else was pregnant and that their partner did not know, and there was no blackmail. Like, these are real early episodes. Yeah. We should maybe even bleep some of that, not to give producer Chris too much to do, but, honestly, if I say it, it's probably fine. I for one feel reassured. Because I have to say, if I'm also mentioning something that's a soap opera staple, like you can't have a soap opera without blackmail, murder, cheating, throwing people in pools. So a little bit of that is what's wrong with the show right now. Yeah, there's going to be slapping. There's going to be people being thrown downstairs. There's nothing we can say that hasn't been done on a soap opera. Truly. This is a good point. Except threatening to shoot yourself out of a cannon. I don't think that's been done. It was right there for them. It was right there for them. It was very obvious. I'm so sorry. Keep going. So the capital I issue is abortion. Jane considers abortion, doesn't do it. That's part what's so boring about it.
Yeah, she doesn't do something. That's her big choice.
And like, I am a man and don't want to be heard to have a lot to say about abortion other than the fact that I think women should have control with their bodies.
You know what?
Do and are as best they can.
I will say that as a man, you can very confidently say that every single human should be allowed to have body autonomy. And then that way, we're all covered. Because that's really it. You know?
That
you
makes
should,
it... That
you
makes
should be allowed to do with your body what you want. I should be allowed to do with my body what I want. As long as I'm not doing anything that someone doesn't consent to, as in, hey, Wayne, I've got these dresses. Can you put these on?
Right
now.
I'm going to wrestle this onto your body. You were going to wear Mancini. I'm imagining now Jane
Her
as a
Mancini-
pro wrestler.
Her Mancini originals are just somebody else's clothes.
Chopped up and remixed poorly. Well, do we want to talk about the 6-week mark in pregnancy as something?
I mean, I don't know. Tell me what you feel about it. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like it's very depressing to talk at all about abortion.
All right.
Unless, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings?
Okay, here's what we should do with it.
Let's
under
do
those
it.
circumstances, and I appreciate that. Sandy,
Yes.
Saint Sandy. Like that was something that was kind of cool, or let's put it another way. Something to kind of feel good about is I think that it was probably in the 90s not a television tradition to have a character who admits to an abortion, shares it, and doesn't feel shame.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's an interesting question. This probably would have been one of the first times that I ever heard it mentioned on television. I don't even know if I knew what they were talking about.
So that's definitely something.
Yeah.
To get out of an Issues episode is a sympathetic portrayal of something that is widely practiced.
I mean, I think the thing for me, like, talking about it feels weird a little bit because it's just like, it's just so depressing to look at something that was so long ago and you're like, we've actually gone backwards. Like, it's just so depressing. Like, I think it's funny because these Issues episodes do hit me that certain way because I'm like, you're sort of enjoying the fun 90s escapism of it, but then you're just like, ugh, like, this is a problem today. Like, ugh, it's so depressing. But
I think that's a good way to end that part of the episode.
Yeah, and also but I will say, like, I'm always shocked when Alison's appropriate.
Yes. The female, the solidarity that the ladies show in this is something kind of special, something we will not see.
But yeah, it's really interesting that the men had nothing to do with it, and the women, like, everything was very gendered. Everybody was, like, separated.
Well, and the boys help resolve the plot because Michael is justifiably angry that all of this was hidden from him, and Jane is
so weird.
treating it. I mean, whatever. I think he has a right to be mad. Do you have a con position on that?
I mean, I think I feel like the whole conversation was really weird. Like, it's just so weird to me that, like, they would, I don't know. I feel like they just tried really hard to make, it's really hard because Jane and Michael aren't a real couple. They're just roommates. Like, this is why I think I'm struggling. Because I'm trying to think of them as an actual married couple.
It's the donut of it all.
It's the donut because every time you see them together, she's trying to make some weird dinner thing, or like he's cleaning the pool and she's coming up behind him. I'm like, I just don't think you two should have a baby. I think if I'm digging, I think I really don't think these two people should bring a life into this world. I actually don't think it's about abortion. I think it's about these two individuals, and I don't think they should be procreating. And I think my body is miscarrying that concept.
You're reacting.
It's forcing it out because
okay.
I hate it.
All right.
I think that's what it is. Actually, I don't like them together.
It's going to be a rough road for a little while then, because we have, like, you know,
well,
whatever Michael Mancini becomes, it does involve Jane for quite a while.
You know what? I like it better when things start to get cooking.
Well, and it's, I mean, maybe much to your point of why there's enough to talk about, that is that, after this, kind of what makes it fun is, like, the stakes are the kind of cartoony, personal stakes, and, like
we get into Tom and
the idea
Jerry.
of bringing a child into the world, let's hold aside abortion as an issue, is a serious thing.
Yes.
And it doesn't work with people who seem to be in different relationships in the same relationship.
Jane.
That's depressing. The idea of them. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Jane went to design school, I thought, and cannot even make a dress. I don't think she should have a baby. I think they kept thinking this was like a political issue for me, or something having to do with, like, what's going on in the world. But I lied to myself. I just feel like Jane is a mess. I feel like she would drop that baby in that pool by accident.
Done it
so
again,
fast.
Lisa.
So fast.
Holy shit.
And I've seen him.
That's it.
I've seen Michael with. He is not very effective with that little catching thing. That baby would be in the drain.
And that's before you get into what their parenting might be like. So.
I haven't even considered that. Fettuccine for dinner, baby.
Yeah, low fat a la Rhonda. So I think that's it. Actually, that for that.
Oh,
that,
you mean
for
when
that
I
plot
killed
line.
their baby in the pool?
Yes, no. I mean, that's it for that.
it.
That's because part of the issue for me too is that everything we've talked about resulted in this. What's supposed to be this nice, the music cues that it's a nice emotional reconciliation between the two of them that just like
No.
lands flat.
Yeah, because you're just like, ugh. I thought maybe somebody would leave somebody for this. And then they're like, ugh, Michael's like, ugh, it's fine. I'm like, ugh, we're still going to have to wait for things to get a little crazier. That's what I think it is. Everybody keeps resolving stuff, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, in these early
At least
days,
she's still pregnant.
the Jane and Michael, following the Jane and Michael storyline is just that nothing comes from nothing.
Nothing comes
If
from
it's
nothing.
already nothing.
Yeah. We're witnessing Michael actually care about his job. This is a very precious time for us. It's the honeymoon.
I don't mind spoiling this, that I think this is the only time we hear Michael really talk about a patient other than if they're already a character on the show.
100%.
It will be that he is not into doctoring for any of the actual he's in it for a lot of other reasons. Here,
Doctoring is a lot more like being like lord of a fiefdom.
That's where we're going, and these are all, I think, spoiler safe. Like, this is just what's going to happen in broad terms. Yeah. So nothing from nothing. Billy's bullshit isn't much more, though, unfortunately.
It's so true, and it's I never really thought of what an inert character Billy really is. And the funny thing, I mean, again, he and Jane, I have very similar feelings about both of them, which is these were the main storylines.
Yeah.
They were the drivers of these storylines. Yeah. The resolution came from both of them when they decided not to go through with some big decision that they've made. And you're just like, this is the funny thing is, I'm like, that's exactly who both of you are.
Instead of leap of faith, it should have just been called, like, the Big Deferral.
Exactly. They just are putting it off. Also, Billy is just, like, cartoonish. And bungee jumping, why is that? He mentions all of
So how we
things.
get to bungee jumping is that, as we mentioned earlier, Billy has a column. He's landed a column with a free weekly, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And he decides he needs to have adventures. Sees a man in a neck brace, and much to your point, I feel like he's like, oh, that whatever he did was a good idea. He's hurt. I mean, that's how we get to bungee jumping. Is the instinct to follow the example of someone wearing a neck brace for the very reason they're wearing the neck brace.
The thing that makes no sense to me is he was sitting at the bar. He rattled off a list of specific things that writers should do, he could have picked any one of them. He could have tried to pick up one woman in the bar. Like, he hasn't even... But he was like, nah, bro. I'm going to go for the craziest thing I can think of. The guy in the neck brace, do the bungee jump, only to not do it.
Which, this is where your pitch, if you had been in the writer's room, would be, just shoot him out of a cannon.
Shoot him out of a cannon. Also, I feel like that guy looks like he rode on a motorcycle. The one with the neck brace.
Oh, yes. So Mr. Neck Brace. That looked like a motorcycle guy.
I like to assume that he's like riding around a motorcycle with that neck issue. What was it again that happened to him? He had
whiplash from the bungee jump.
So how do you get your motorcycle helmet on?
He's raw dogging it.
Because there's no Uber back then. Oh my God. Please tell me, Billy. In my head, there's a scene that was deleted where Billy is his taxi driver taking him home and be like, hey, where'd you go bungee jumping? Can you give me that information? I hope that's a scene somewhere.
Like the alt.
That's my fan fiction.
That's alternate
Billy
Melrose universe. We're going to have to go from the Melrose televisual universe to Melrose televisual multiverse.
Exactly.
Those are terribly hard things to say. I should stop saying them.
You know what? You do you, friend. That's your bungee jumping.
The MTM. I'm just really into the idea of there being an MTM, I guess. I think we wanted to talk about with Billy and his writing. That computer keeps moving around the room. It's like a doorstop.
That computer is wild. It's so big too. Like, it's not easy to move around, and yet it's like it is effortlessly like moving from place to place, like a goat jumping up a mountain. And it's so big. Those are so heavy.
I don't know what could be tried. They just want to shoot him from different angles or change it up. He can't be tethered to a spot.
Oh wait, and also, I'm sure you're about to mention this, but he's sitting at the computer. Let's describe what he's doing.
This is.
He's sitting at.
This is the stuff. Yes.
And a computer the size of a small ATM machine, and he's typing on it, and he's frustratedly looking at pages, crumpling them up, and throwing them in a pile. For anyone who is younger than the age of 45, so what these writers are trying to evoke with this image is a typewriter. Back in the day, you would put the paper in the typewriter and you're pressing keys and it's literally stamping the ink onto that paper. So the paper's coming out, and then the iconic image was the frustrated writer crumples up the paper and throws it. So they were in an age where they didn't fully understand the tech. I just love this so much. This is the Panini Press, a laptop opening. Spoiler. Guys, you won't know what that means because you can even Google it and no one will say anything because I feel like we're the only people who've referred to it that way. But anyways, they're not even printing the paper up. He's just typing and then he's looking at the paper and he's deciding, oh, now it's time to crumple this. It's such a weird behavior.
Yes, because they are appealing to a shorthand that had become an anachronism at the time. I think they still do this. The record scratch in a movie trailer.
Yes, you're right. The record scratch still happens and people don't know what that came from, I'm sure.
I guess the record scratch, I mean, these things are going extinct. The record scratch, the dial tone.
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. There is no dial tone anymore.
Yeah, like what does that mean?
It's at the landline.
Yeah, I mean, unless people watch old movies.
See, and that's what's great about the 90s is you're seeing the ramp up into the Y2K technology panic. And so people still didn't understand, and computers weren't ubiquitous. Like, not everybody had a computer. Not everybody, smartphones weren't even on the radar.
Being online was new.
Yes. So it's just Billy is so fun. They use so many computers in such crazy ways. It's just so much fun.
I have a small theory that the arc for Billy of this episode is not the bungee jumping or not bungee. It's that he learns that he can actually save something in the computer. Because producer Ilana and I were starting to believe, in combination with the sense that his script, there seemed to be only one copy of it, that was his approach to computers, was treating them like typewriters, like I type it up and then I print it, And that is the thing.
Well,
That's how he is at the beginning, and by the end, he seems to confidently be saving files. So good on you, Billy. You've grown.
So he learned how to use a computer.
He
To save.
He learned something that he should have known. Yes, I guess is the way.
I can turn it on. I can turn it off. I can control P. I can print. I can control S. I can save. I can do so much things.
Like with regard to Billy being inert or Billy being static, it would almost be better if we had just watched him get better in little ways, like this, like just one little like not an episode where he figures out to not eat peanut butter from Alison's jar.
Oh yes. Speaking of
Just
which,
some small growth for Billy would be change, which
is huge. You brought up a great point, which is Alison's peanut butter. We are still seeing in that refrigerator little Post-its of her name on her food.
But yeah,
and there's only, by the way, there's only one other person. It is so hostile because there's not three of you. Like, you know, if you didn't buy that, it's not yours. But Alison's like, let's just be clear here.
Yes.
You thought I wasn't going to be the worst this episode, and then you peeked inside the fridge.
But I think there might have been only one post. I don't know. There is like a wormhole or a rabbit hole awaiting if we get into what the fuck was happening with Billy cleaning out the fridge. Anyways,
Oh yeah,
this will be a long episode, folks, and maybe it doesn't need to be that long.
he did look like he was giving it a colonoscopy. Like, I couldn't see where his arm went. I'm like, ooh, reaches in. That fridge looked empty too. Like, where are you going?
Well, let's just
Narnia?
say this show will have certain totems, and a fridge, I think, is one of them.
A fridge is definitely one of them.
Right now, for the reason that Grant's show opens a fridge and the opening credits in a way that is wonderful. Shining light onto his abs, guys. Is there anything to talk about the whole, the level of literariness of the show, the literacy of the show is that the opposition of Ernest Hemingway hunting elephants and Emily Dickinson being, was it Candy Ass?
Yes, the candy ass, because she never went anywhere. I just, you do love a colonizer's perspective, because if you aren't out there killing things in someone else's continent, then what are you even doing? I mean, come on now. This is just
that's what a writer does.
Yes, you go out there. He literally was like, Hemingway was out shooting like
elephants.
Endangered animals in Africa,
Yes.
and Emily Dickinson was just using her imagination like a big old dummy. What was she writing about? Even death? I mean, come on, candy ass. I'm over here bungee jumping. This woman is, pondering existence.
Right.
Dingling.
So, the point being, there's all this bungee jump, he chickens out.
He doesn't even do it.
Matt bungee jumps, Jake bungee jumps. Matt loved it. It changed his hair in a fun way.
Oh, Matt's hair is great.
But he chickens out. We should, on the course to chickening out, he has to read the waiver on camera. I thought that was kind of fun. What was that for you?
I love the reading the waiver on camera, but I'm so sorry. You mentioning Matt threw me back to realizing that, like, Matt is quite a bully in this episode with Jake. They don't leave Billy alone about not jumping.
Oh, yes,
they keep going. They're practically like
yeah, they do.
Matt was just like, I guess it's okay.
Well, I mean, Billy was the first person thrown into a pool in this episode. That's how they celebrate people at Melrose Place, is they throw you into the pool.
They throw you in the pool, and
They
then
throw a towel at you.
Jake threw the towel at him in the pool. Billy's in the center of the pool. He can't even stand up. He throws a towel at him like, hey, by the way, here's a towel. You know what you just did? Gave him something heavy and wet he has to take out with him.
It looks as if he's managing to hold it, but that's not gonna work or last. Yes, Jake,
like,
that was an extra
what?
fuck you. It's like, fuck you, and fuck you a little more, Billy.
Ugh.
Who's the alpha in this building?
Ugh, what time is it? Are you guys actually going bungee jumping? Like, Jake, you promised that you were going to come with me. And he's like, ugh, you're just like all those women I sleep with. Ugh. It's like, geez.
People's expectations weigh on me. Especially the things I say I'm going to do, then don't.
I hate moral dilemmas. And bungee jumping.
He loved Bunny Yummy.
He did.
It was Billy chickened out, and then Billy rationalizing. Wrote a column about rationalizing, and that is all of the stupid, unplotty plot of him. That's all. I think that's all story and stuff. Do you have anything else to say about the episode in terms of because I want to get into maybe a little more fashion.
I would love to get into the fashion of it all.
Yeah. So right. So we talk about Jane's hair an awful lot, and
awful is the right word. Go ahead.
And yet we know it doesn't have to be from the side part she rocks when she and Michael are out on that date.
I loved it. I thought they had a similar hairdo, which meant that they seemed to maybe be on the same page for the first time ever. And they were like, we can agree that we're going to sleep back tonight and get it sexy. And they were really trying to have a romantic moment. But I think the choice to sit at opposite ends of a giant
circular booth
where it looked like not to continue stereotypes, but I can't help but notice that in The Godfather, it looked like at any point either one of them was going to sneak to the bathroom, get the pistol that they were going to use to kill the other one, to say, were you the one who put that fettuccine Alfredo in the fridge? Because I hated it and I thought you were trying to kill me.
That low-fat fettuccine was an act of war.
By the way, my improv brain held this thing correctly.
Because
I was like, you need to know
so right now we're doing gestures.
I'll tell you what this
shooting
is.
Some
a dance
finger guns, we've gotten to physical. It's almost like we should break and it should be more bonus footage. I've been on a tear thinking about bonus footage.
Go ahead. Go
just
on with
the,
your bonus
just
footage
the, do you guys mind if we do something? I want to debate for a moment or talk about the difference between doing a finger gun like this.
Yes.
And what you did, which was
holding a gun.
You were holding a gun.
I was holding a gun. I was holding a .38 pistol with a little snub nose that I pulled out of my little mother of pearl purse. And I was like, hey, this is what you use when your man's cheating on you. What's going on, Wayne? But yeah,
all of that is why Lisa was holding an imaginary gun the right way.
Imaginary gun the correct way.
Yeah.
But this is what most people do.
Yeah, it's just your thumb is serving as the sign. Yeah, which that's not how that works at all in real life.
But it does in shadow puppeting. So there you are.
Wow.
But yeah, finger guns.
Boy.
So they didn't murder. They didn't shoot each other in the restaurant.
They didn't shoot each
had a
other.
romantic
They
evening in the
did not
booth.
leave the gun and take the cannoli.
No, but their hair looked. They were finally. There was a little symmetry there between this couple.
Yeah. And. Oh, there's the pirate shirt. Fuck it. The pirate shirt's fun too.
Oh.
That's another of Jane's.
I remember this era very well. My sister had one of those shirts. I had a shirt like that, I think. Yeah, for sure I did. It was, I don't remember what exactly sparked this, but the Renaissance fair style big blousey shirt. Billowy. Jane is wearing one, and by the way, at the time that actually was very trendy. Everybody, I don't know what it was. Everybody wanted to look like Labyrinth. Oh my gosh, was right before with Labyrinth with
Hook.
With no, Hook was actually.
Wait, I'm taking this off. Let's go with Bowie and Labyrinth. Well, we just had the Bowie and Labyrinth look last episode. Please,
also, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Both of those though, because Labyrinth was before that. Labyrinth was first, and then I think Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and then I die for you, I cry. So everybody was very into this sort of this poet shirt
throwback,
and then the tiny little black leggings. I feel like I saw that a lot. Everybody wanted a pirate of Penzance.
I have a theory that fact in the world. This episode of Melrose Place originally aired on August 5th, 1992. Seinfeld, the sitcom Seinfeld, I'm going to gloss Seinfeld for people who don't know.
For you guys who don't know, Jerry Seinfeld was a person on television.
September 23rd, 1993. So, a year and a few months later, they had the pirate shirt episode of Seinfeld, and as we've sort of mentioned before, we also know that Seinfeld had an episode where there was like just literally a plot about Jerry denying watching Seinfeld. Melrose Place.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Seinfeld denying that he watched Melrose Place, and it comes out that he does. I think that the writers, I think Larry David and Larry Charles and all those goofballs were like, they were dining on this.
Oh, everybody was watching Melrose Place. That's why I resent anyone who says they didn't, because I know your life. You had to be watching. We were all watching.
I didn't. Is this going to be the thing that just drives the wedge that ends all of this?
This is going to be the tension
Okay.
that keeps this thing going for so many seasons. Will they, won't they fight over this?
Yeah. It'll just be like a simmering.
Like every couple episodes, I throw you up against the wall and I go, "You're lying! You really watched it? Son of a bitch!" Fine.
It would externalize the conflict in a way that might be very satisfying.
And
I can see that.
for the viewer, hey, we got to do it.
I think we kicked this episode's ass. I want to go to things that are kind of like I consider
Fun and games, maybe.
Fun and games, maybe. Well, the extra of the week.
Oh my God, so much to choose from. Honestly,
you picked out, and I actually by coincidence have an approximate time code because he was the earring guy.
Oh, the man in the. He
popped up in when Michael and
Yes.
Jake were having the coffee and walk.
He was right in front of. There were two fantastic extras back.
So this would be around 1630 in the show. I marked that because Jake was looking at someone's ass as he was leaving the thing. So.
I think that's what. Yeah.
But the extras, earring guy is one. Just tell us about him.
He was as you said, Jake appeared to be checking out somebody's. But turns around, and behind him, as he starts walking down the street, is this black man in this suit. Again, I think it was a pinstripe suit.
Looks great.
And the thing that really glasses. I think he had a mustache, and this very prominent earring. It was great. It looked like a sunflower and a dangle. And just very stylish. He steps by, and then an even more fascinating extra, I think, was the person you had flagged from before. I think there was somebody even behind him who looked very wacky. Guys, the contrast of the fashions of these two people, where both of them were very current. It's just the 90s was such a wild time.
And I think it goes towards the thing that we've talked about. I think an insight of yours is just about the real life extra game and like trying to just stand out a little. So like,
yes,
if that guy, if earring guy showed up to set with that earring, that's like he's a really savvy extra because he stood out.
Yes, and also I'm remembering. Okay, I know there was crazy dancing opening this episode.
Yes,
at
the pool party about Billy's column.
But I also feel like they go somewhere where there was extras dancing? Because I have this memory of
Michael and Jane's date to the Mexican place. There's a mariachi band playing.
Yes.
Kind of not. Anyways,
well,
that's what you're talking about. Go
mentioning
for it.
the extras is one thing the show does that is not a spoiler. That is just like keep your eyes open. The extras in any kind of dancing scenes are so great because it speaks also to what you were saying where. That man in a business suit, you know what? They probably had him for the day, for the dancing setup as well. So this guy's like, hey, maybe he was like, I have my earring ready for the club scene.
Yeah, in actuality, it may have been a coincidental win at the game of extra.
You never know. But yeah, I just thought that like the extras in that dance scene, they deserved a little attention.
I wish I had a time code, but there was a couple dancing behind Jane and Michael that really threw into harsh relief their lack of chemistry. There were a couple extras, some middle-aged folks who just were locked in. I started to think about maybe they're a couple in real life, but they do extraing together.
I thought that maybe they met on the set. And they just looked like a couple, and they were put together, and then the chemistry, the sparks just flew, and you're seeing the contrast of these two just hitting it off, and then you got Jane and Michael so far. It was beautiful.
Not physically, but like essentially, it's like the 7th grade dance thing with
the distance
where you're keeping each other at arm's length. that's Jay and Michael for you. Our other favorite extra was at 39:20 in the episode for those who see fit to seek it out. The sunglasses guy who stares down the barrel.
Anybody looking straight into the camera and manages to end up in the final edit makes me so happy.
I think this was the location. They were walking down Melrose, past Wacko, etc.
Yes!
And this guy at around 39:20 is in sunglasses and like I think a trench coat and t-shirt. We really should I hope that I described that correctly. Steering right down the barrel, and he looks wonderful. And he drew some focus. Ilana's theory is that he was producer Ilana thinks that he's just some guy who was there who wouldn't move when the production got pulled in.
Completely possible. I don't know that he ever signed anything to agree to be in this, but they're like, I could see a world where they're like, he has glasses on and he kind of looks like a lot of people. I don't think he's going to come after us. And so I think that was a safe bet on their part. Sort
of like, prove it to you, but you could be anybody.
Also, yeah. I mean,
back
then also, I imagine, they were playing fast and loose with those, signed waivers. Because, really, the likelihood of people actually seeing it, nobody has cell phones can take pictures of it.
Yeah,
it would have been
it
so
goes
easy.
out. I mean, again, something to ponder as you come along this wonderful journey with us is that they just sent this stuff out literally into the air and not on demand at a certain time.
There's a lady's butt cheek that is featured prominently. I don't know if she knows that's her.
Yeah.
So,
the B-roll for the show. Yeah, exactly. Like, whose butt is that, and how do they feel about it? Another segment as we get to closing out our spoiler-free episode. What in your mind was the worst thing Alison did in this episode?
Oh, man.
She was pretty well behaved. This one might be a toughie.
Yeah, she was pretty well behaved. That's a good question. I'm trying to think here. She was great with Jane. So nothing with Jane. Let's see. We never saw her at work. That's where she does most of her shenanigans.
Being awful.
Being very awful. She's good at being awful at work. No, but she wasn't doing that. You know what? I actually think she was pretty good, so I'm going to have to go with something I pointed out, which is the Post-its. The fact that there's only one other person living in that apartment with you, and you still see fit to leave some Post-its on your mayonnaise.
Pickles.
What is that? I don't even know what it was. But yeah, I think it was the fridge Post-its, because she's pretty well behaved. The dancing at the beginning was bad, but that was everybody. So I'm gonna go with Post-its.
For me, it was the exception to the rule of her being in this episode was how she treated Billy after he woke up from a terrible nightmare.
I forgot. She was so
on his
unhelpful.
Way to bungee jump.
Oh, you win. That's bad.
Something we didn't discuss was Billy's nightmare. We made reference to the night diving. So Billy goes to sleep at the night after having beers and. There's something with timeline I'm not even going to effing get into.
It doesn't make any sense, but that's okay.
How did he arrange overnight? Anyways, part of what makes Billy's fear manifest is he has this weird nightmare where there's a boy Billy up on a high platform over a pool, and his parents are down below urging him to jump, and then he falls, but Lisa and I'll speak for myself. I have dreams about falling.
Yeah.
All the time. So I was like, oh, that's kind of... He wakes up from this terrible dream about something that he's afraid of, and when she goes in to check in on him, the first thing she posits is that if you hit the ground in the dream, you die in real life. She thinks the Nightmare on Elm Street rules apply to reality unless... Shared universe?
Oh, wait, I don't know.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually, you have stumbled into, I didn't watch a lot of horror growing up, so I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But I'm so sorry. What were you going to say?
Well, let's do this.
Please.
The villain in Nightmare, it's a slasher film about a guy who haunts dreams literally.
Wait, and this also was out before the show, so.
Oh yeah, this is 80s stuff.
This.
So, and that's kind of the premise, is that this awful, terrible child molester who was burned by people as punishment has now inhabits dreams, and he's showing up for the children of the people who burned him to killed him with his like claw glove, and
Oh
that
my
in
gosh.
real life, gory things happen, which is the weird part. Like, anyways,
So the caveat to not dying in the
it comes entirely, I think, from Nightmare on Elm Street, but Alison thinks that that's how it actually is in life.
Yeah, and I love that.
But that's what she says to someone who's already afraid is like, oh, well, it's a good thing you woke up when you did because you could have fucking died, Billy. Did you think about how you might just die in your sleep? You're afraid of bungee jumping, but you could also die in your sleep just from a dream.
I really loved the exact opposite of comforting that she did to him. She placed an extra fear in his brain. Oh,
The bungee cord might be too long.
the bungee cord. Also, I just love you bringing up this moment because I totally forgot about it. She starts the whole thing by loudly knocking on his door.
It was a cop.
It wasn't gentle at all. She's like, if he wasn't already freaked out from that nightmare, then thinking that the LAPD is like, bam, 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 bam.
Like, yeah, it should have been a step.
I hope you weren't dreaming about falling.
Yeah,
You'll
like,
die.
yeah. So that was concentrated Alison awfulness in a small period of time.
It was
so
like an espresso
it stood
shot.
out. It stood out.
That was really good.
If you did anything else you want to talk about this episode in the spoiler-free Melrose Madness, my dear?
Just one thing that I had said off camera before that I feel should be repeated, that I think taking your children night diving is a very specific form of child abuse. No one should do it. In case it's not clear, we do not condone night diving here at Melrose Madness. Our madness only extends so far.
I'm stuck on using the word fundamental a lot, but you earlier in talking about something in a different context, you provide the fundamental sort of rule that like people should have autonomy over their own bodies.
Exactly. You should not be forced to
night diving, making a child night dive, or I want to start using it as the transitive verb where you night dive a child like that. That means you expose them to the horrors of night diving.
It's just too, like, don't be making your kids night dive. It's weird.
But you know, you kind of have a nice, you know, better than gold, a diamond rule.
Exactly.
A la Lisa.
Well, I'll try.
When you form your cult, I want to be in it.
Ugh, that makes me, hey, I'm holding you to it. It's a verbal agreement.
So I intend to carry through on. I'm not like Billy, and I'm not.
I won't have to night dive him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at this. We got some quotations.
Yeah, it's quotations time, guys.
It's
So
quotations time.
I don't know. We do this thing this way. We can do it a different way in future. So here we have one of the quotations that we really loved in this episode was Jane to Alison about like what's wrong, what's going on in her life. Put whatever you want to do with that line, do it.
Can you ask me what my problem is?
Sure. Yeah. Well, what's wrong, Jane?
I'm just pregnant. That's all. BFD.
That's a more.
Is so over it.
That's a more interesting character than Jane.
I
It's
know,
almost
right?
Alison actually, just being fed up at something you're answering a question.
Why are you asking me about
Billy,
Billy?
I'm just pregnant. That's all.
Ugh, whatever. It's not a big deal.
Speaking of Billy, I'm giving myself a little bit of a meal here, and you guys can decide for
Please.
yourselves how I do with it. But this is Billy to Alison about falling short of his calling. Writers have to live extraordinary lives. At my age, Hemingway's already in Africa shooting elephants. Real writers do things, you know? They get into barroom brawls and they go through women like Kleenex. They have terrible drinking problems. They destroy their lives and everyone they care about. Come on, we're going to Shooters. I can at least start working on my drinking problem. So I feel like it's not quite like the territory we were in last week with Alison, but I think that this could also be a monologue to audition with.
I think it totally could, and again, I'm really glad that I flagged this earlier because he, again, very explicitly lists what he thinks writers do, proceeds to do none of those things.
And if you want some spoilers about the arc of the show, we're going to talk a little about that quotation in our bonus episode that is a match that. Let's skip these. Here, I think this will be piquant. The second to last. So this is Jane to Rhonda about the marital rift that happens in the course of this episode.
I like this. You don't know Michael. If he loves you forever. But if he thinks you betrayed him, forget it.
Yeah,
Drama.
this is Jane's view of her hubby.
This is Jane's view of her
Not
hubby.
flattering.
It's not flattering, but also like I highlight this quote.
Yeah,
I
think
this quote. That is it.
it doesn't have to be it because we got the spoiler episode we still want to do, and so let's tune in or whatever they do now.
That's me teasing you.
Yeah. So Michael, back to Jane now about their marital rift later in the episode.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I should be way far over here for that. I shouldn't even be in the frame.
Well, and this is they were actually walking. I think there might have even been an arm grab. But
Probably.
anyways.
They love grabbing each other.
This is not a dress, Jane. A couple of hems and tucks won't fix it. About their marital rift. Maybe doubly hurtful because we've just seen how terrible she is at hems and tucks.
I like that he thinks she can fix anything with a hem and a tuck. Much, not a relationship, much less a dress.
I think that's a wonderful note to leave things on. This has been season 1, episode 5 of Melrose Madness, and Lisa, talking to you makes me feel good.
Let's have a hug.
Oh, let's do that.
All right.
You're right. This is Mannequin.